This I'm Hani, and I'm here to present my research article, which is on redesigning the conservation effort for endangered mammals in Pakistan considering climate change. I am from Fatma Jinnah Women University and from Department of Environmental Sciences. The introduction to my this review article is basically related to climate change, as it is impacting the global ecosystem through fluctuations in temperature and precipitation. Climate change, like all other aspects, is also affecting biodiversity. Hence, before the conservation efforts for biodiversity, it is very important to consider the impacts of climate change on it. As IPCC has projected a rise of about 0.15 to zero point 0.3 degrees Celsius in temperature in this century, by the end of this century, and climate change is anticipated to influence the maximum part of ecosystem and levels with a more harsh impact on them as the time will progress. Next, I'll discuss the status of mammals in Pakistan and the major threats to their existence. The major impacts basically on mammals are on their physiology, their biology, and their dispersal, more specifically due to climate change. Their habitat is going to disperse and their range is going to shift, due to which their ecological niche is going to modify in the future due to impacts of climate change. When we talk about the status of mammals in Pakistan, we come to know that most of the mammals in Pakistan are in the category of endangered, data deficient, and near endangered categories, while some of them are critically endangered. So it is need of the hour to think about their conservation. But before thinking about their conservation and doing their conservation, it is very important to anticipate all the major threats to them. So for this purpose, the methodology which I have designed in my review article was that I selected the 5 major projects of mammals related to conservation of mammals in Pakistan. And after selecting them, I thoroughly revisited the strategies these projects have considered. Moreover, after observing these strategies, I analyzed them for climate change, the most specific impacts of climate change on the particular species on which the projects were. And after considering these impacts, I have modified the projects according to the anticipated threats. The strategy development was based upon the assessment of ecosystem, the conservation of species concerns, the major project goal, the threats to them, and the measures of progress. After my methodology, I opted for results and discussion, my presentation. The first important result of my article was that I considered a project for the conservation of musk deer. The threats which I have identified to musk deer were illegal hunting and poaching for their musk, the deforestation, overgrazing, and global warming. The hypothesis of change for this species is that deforestation has resulting in the fragmentation of the habitat of this species due to increased temperature and recession. The range of musk deer is going to shift to higher elevation, which means that its habitat is going to modify. So under these changed circumstances, the mitigation strategy which I have devised is resistance. Under resistance, the following measures should be taken: establishment of corridors for safe movement, enhancement of forest cover, and shifting of local population away from core areas of musk deer. The second important conservation project which I have selected was related to Indian pangolin, because the major threats to the Indian pangolin is about the killing of Indian pangolin for its scale and body parts, its illegal hunting and poaching. Under climate change, there will be a lot of more specific impact on the habitat of this species, as Indian pangolin established two types of burrows, the resting and feeding burrows. And these burrows usually lie away from human settlements. Under this current scenario of urbanization, the habitat of pangolin is going to shift towards more towards the areas which are not very much inhabited. So the temperature and humidity of burrows is also a very important factor, which is going to change under this climate change scenario. Hence, devised a mitigation strategy for this species resilience. Resilience means improvement of the habitat condition by placing more boulders in its range. Resting burrows should be associated with the buttresses of the roots of several trees, and habitat specific measures should be taken. The other project which I selected for the conservation of snow leopard, the major threats to the snow leopard is its hunting for its body parts, its illegal poaching and killing by herders. The hypothesis of change which I have devised is that under climate change, the snow leopard is moving to higher elevations, and due to its movement to higher elevation and encroachment of human being to its range, is shrinking its habitat and its area where it moves and breed. So the species is going to breed less and the population will decline, not only in Pakistan but also in other associated countries, because the snow leopard is a range species, and it moves across its range in five different in sorry 12 different countries. Its range is spread over, and the devised mitigation strategy for this species to protect it from the threats of climate change is resilience, to ensure the access to a secure prey base of this species so that it does not compete with the human of the area, and acquisition of a better understanding of snow leopard biology and disease and genetics, and creating a condition for human population to adapt better to the impacts of climate change in the snow leopard range. Other measure is to focus on minimizing the current threats such as poaching, killing, and habitat degradation. Next species is common leopard. Common leopard is threatened by human leopard conflict, retaliatory killings, and encroachments. Moreover, its natural prey is also decreasing, and trade of its body part is also common. So the hypothesis of climate change is that the leopards are resilient to direct impact of climate change, but due to increasing temperatures and famines, a lot of indirect impacts will happen to this species, due to which it will move towards for food and for other resources. It will move towards the residential areas, due to which the human leopard conflict will further increase and retaliatory killings will result in decrease in its population. So the devised mitigation strategy is resistance. Resistance include the following measures: the protection of refugia and creating corridors to allow the species movement, expansion of protected areas to include the migration corridors and seasonal feeding areas, and improving the connectivity of the habitats. The last conservation project which I selected for this review article was about Indus dolphin. The major threats to Indus dolphins are poaching, accidental killings, fishing, net entanglement, use of chemical and fertilizers. So the hypothesis of change which I have devised is that the growing temperature and unpredictable rainfall are leading to fast deterioration of river flow, and that is designed to hit the dolphin hard. So it is very important to compete and manage the increasing temperature, which is going to increase more and more by the end of this century, and to control the illegal illnesses, new illnesses, and illegal hunting and fishing of this species, so that its population can survive, because as it is an endemic species to Indus River of Pakistan. The major devised mitigation strategy measures which I have designed for this specific species, that it's about transformation of its habitat. It involves the proactively translocation of the species beyond the current range limit and reduce the non-climate stressors on natural areas in ecosystem, and translocation or assisted dispersal of the species at risk. That's all about my presentation. At conclusion, I want to say that understanding and awareness regarding the complex interaction of climate change with the mammal species is a dire need of our. To help such species survive and maintain healthy ecosystem is now our duty to consider climate change. It's not only a theoretical or hypothetical thing. It's happening, it's impacting all life forms, and specifically the mammals, not only in Pakistan but across the world. So it's our duty and the duty of our conservation organizations to consider climate change before designing any conservation strategy. These are some references from where I've collected my data. Thank you so much for your attention and your time, and for listening